Some of you may be coming from my other channels where I have mentioned Flesh and Blood, and others might have just found this channel out of their own curiosity. Either way, you're likely here because you have heard about Flesh and Blood and you're thinking, well, what is Flesh and Blood? In this short video, I'm going to be giving you a high-level description of the game, as well as giving you some historical background on the game itself. Flesh and Blood is a hero-centric, physical trading card game developed by Legend Story Studios. Now, what do I mean when I say hero-centric? Well, when you build a deck in Flesh and Blood, you are building it by choosing a hero and then playing as that hero. In other games, you might summon minions or play units, and then those cards, those units kind of do the fighting for you. But in Flesh and Blood, you are truly embodying your hero. The actions you take are you as your hero taking those actions. There are even special attacks that only certain heroes can utilize, which just further feeds into that fantasy of you truly playing as a hero and getting to do what that hero would do. Now, you can also equip your heroes with weapons and armor, so that's just further solidifying the idea of you pick a hero and you are playing as that hero. Now, there are some allies in the game, but they are very small in number, and they're actually pretty hard to play or pull off, and so you don't see it very often. The core of the game truly is just two heroes battling it out with a nice back and forth style of gameplay. As I said before, the game itself is developed by Legend Story Studios. This is a company that's based in New Zealand. The CEO and one of the founders is James White. If you are coming from the Magic the Gathering community, you might recognize the name because James White was one of the premier MTG players from New Zealand for a time. And in 2012, James and some others decided to form this development company because they noticed that others in the space were transitioning to online delivery models and digital card games, and they just really wanted to put an emphasis on physical card games. They believed in the tangible benefits that there are for sitting across from a table, making friends, building a community, and they wanted to invest in that. And so they built a company that was focused solely on playing physical card games in person. And in many ways, that's where the name of the card game comes from. It's a reference to you playing as your hero and embodying that, but it is also a reference to you sitting down across the table from another human being and playing in the Flesh and Blood. And so that is in part why the game is named the way that it is. They began development on the game back in 2012, but they didn't officially launch the game until 2019. The first set for Flesh and Blood was titled Welcome to Wrath, and the second one, Arcane Rising, was released right when the pandemic was really kicking off and the globe started with lockdowns kind of all over. Despite that, the game has still been growing in popularity, growing its player base. It seems to be pretty well received. I know I myself have fallen in love with it. And so since the initial launch, at the time of recording this, there have been 4 sets released, and the 5th, Tales of Aria, is set to release in mid-September of 2021. So depending on when you're watching this, it might even already be out. But the game seems to be doing very well. Hopefully this answers your questions, at least at a high level, about what is Flesh and Blood, because I know I myself was hesitant to give it a try, but now that I have, I'm really enjoying it. There's a lot of mechanical depth, a lot of room for player skill and expression, and if I'm being honest, I just really enjoy sitting across from another human being again after lockdowns for so long and playing a game that I enjoy. So if you want to learn how to play the game, there should be a video on this channel that teaches you how to play. Consider subscribing while you're here, and hopefully sometime I will get to see you at a table.